got any questions, so please let me know afterwards. Thank you so much for letting me be here. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be there last time in September. I was unfortunately sick. I still have a little thing in my throat, so if I start coughing, you know why. And I'm going to talk a little bit like the same thing. I'm going to move you a little bit around here so I don't see you. So basically, I'm going to do like this. So what I'm here to talking about with you guys today is basically how you can use what you already do, like when you meet other people, creating human connection, how you can develop that to your benefit. So let me make one thing clear here. My job is not to create a long-lasting relationship, not come up with a perfect subject for a conversation. My job is to make sure that the first minute or the first second counts for the best. So make the best of the first few minutes or seconds. It's actually so that when our brain was developed, it was in the Stone Age. It hasn't developed since. So our brain is actually the same as back in the Stone Age, which means our basically fears is the same as the one back then. And that's why it can be difficult for us to meet other people. It can be difficult for us to go out in the dark. And that's why meeting other people is also scary. Because when back in the days, in the Stone Age, when we saw another person over there, and we went over there to say hello, the person could maybe just turn around and kill you. And that's why it was all or nothing. So for us, meeting others, when it matters, we get afraid, like something is wrong, or we should fight or flight. It's our reptile brain we use when we meet other people. So how come it's not when we meet other people? If there's a tourist in your city and someone come over and you go over there and say, hello, can I help you? Do you need guidance on your map or anything? And people say, no, I'm fine. You're not scared because you've got nothing to lose. You've got absolutely nothing to lose. They say no, and then they went away. But it's exactly the same thing matters when you meet someone. Because often the people we are most scared of talking with is actually the people we want to talk with the most. As the other guy here talked about before, that you've been to this meeting where there was a lot of famous people. Often we're afraid to go over there and talk to them. We get like shy because we don't know how to perform. And that's exactly the same thing. We get afraid. It's like fight or flight because we're not ourselves. So, but also because we are human people, we can meet a challenge and we can, active choose which way we want to handle it. This option gives us an opportunity to change our behavior through time. It gives us the possibility to learn by our experience. So it's also that this is like in our brain, we are pre-coded to go in groups. People, we can't live with other people. So back in the days where, again in the Stone Age, where people sleep in groups. Hello? Is there something wrong? No, okay, I just continue, I just heard something.
It's fine.
Okay. No, when we went back in the days in the Stone Age and we gathered in groups, that was because we needed to go together to be safe, to fight the rest of the world, because we didn't know what was out there. And so we see today the same thing as in the Stone Age. People met to share food, share meat. It's the same thing we do today when we do conventions, we go to weddings or concerts. We gather in groups to enjoy ourselves. So how do we work in our communication? Yes, I got a little piece of paper here. I'm going to do this. Hopefully you can see it. It says here that in general, our communication is 7% verbal, 38% is through voice and tonality, and 55% is body language. Of course, it's like plus minus, but it's about that. So the first thing, the verbal, is which words do I use when I talk? The 38 is like tonality, like how do I talk? Like I'm angry. So it's like you can say, handle me that towel over there. Or you say, handle me that towel over there. So it's much about how our voice tonality is to the other person. And of course, our body language. Most of us, it's like your body cannot lie. You can try to make sure your body do different things, but in the end, your body cannot lie. So I'm going to focus a little bit on how to work with this knowledge, because as I said before, those things I teach you now, you're doing these things already, but I don't know if you're aware of the outcome when you do it. So when you become aware, you can change the output. So I'm going to move a little forward here. So because we are humans and we descend from the monkeys, there's often one of the senses we got, like the vision, we are more visual to other people. This is the dominant sense we got. So that's often we use that when we meet other people for the first time, like the first impression, for example. Back in the days, we thought it was maybe 10 seconds, maybe 1 minute to create a first impression. But it actually takes 1 second to create your first impression. And today we also know that the first impression is actually from association with what you associate with your previous experience. So if you meet a guy like me in a shirt, or if I want a tie, you're like, oh, I've seen that before. Often people in white shirts and with a tie or in a suit, they're quite nice. Otherwise, if you meet persons who look like they are a part of a gang, you're like, oh, that reminds me of something bad. And that's why we're like, oh, I don't like that. But also, we know that the first impression can change. We all met people that we have met, and first impression we're like, oh, I don't like them. And then they start to talk, and we suddenly like them. And opposite, like we met people like, oh, he seems like a cool guy, or she seems like a really nice person. And then they start to talk, and we're like, oh no, we have nothing in common. So likability has, of course, something to do with how you look, but it has a lot more to do on how you make people feel. So basically, let's go a little bit here. It's come down to things like your presence, your attitude, and again, how you make people feel. So how do we make people feel more, how do we make people like us? It's quite simple. We like people who like us. So if that person comes over to you and say, oh, I really like you, you're really cool. We're like, oh, really? Oh, he seems like a genuine nice person. He thinks I'm cool. And we look for compliments. We like those who like us or say they want to be like us. So, for example, to turn back to the first thing is similarities. We like those who are like us. So, if you look at your friends, what do they wear of clothes, sense of humor, their size, personality, background or interest, you will see that often most of your friends got the same personality moves that you do. They got the same background, same interest, same kind of humor, and same kind of clothes. So they don't, all of them have to fit on one person, or all of them. Some maybe it's the clothes, some maybe it's the humor, some it's the personality, some it's the background. But everything they got in common is that they have something in common with you. And when I said before, the compliment, that we like those who like us or who like to be like us. And that what I mean, like, if you meet someone who wants to be like you or really like gives you compliments, you're like, oh, I like that person. And so we move on for the next one. Now, we also like people in business who can help us gain success. So if you meet a person and say, oh, I can help you earn your first million, we will be a lot likely to think this person is really nice. He wants to do something for me. He can help me earn money. I like that person. So when we start doing that, when we start meeting those kind of persons, and if you got the knowledge that you go out meeting a person saying, okay, if I do like him, I know, okay, he wearing a suit, or he do like that, he got this interest, then you can start doing, you can start the synchronizing with another person. And of course, you've heard about synchronizing and mirroring another person. But the thing is, the reason we do it is actually because when we mirror other people, you're already doing that. If you go to a cafe tomorrow, or you can't make it, so maybe a restaurant tonight, or tomorrow, if you go by a cafe tomorrow, you will see people sitting across each other, and they will sit exactly the same, and they have the way they are with their legs, with their hands. Suddenly they will just synchronize with each other. And they do that because they're showing each other, I do like you because I like you, and I'm not gonna hurt you. So that's basically what we do when we meet other people, we're synchronizing. So when we have the first...
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I have to head out now.
It's noise, but I'm just going to continue. So when you are the first meeting, when you see a person, I want to talk with that person. And let me make one thing clear. Being able to create human connection is not something you are born with. Of course, you can have gotten a little bit social things from your friends or your family, and people who say they are shy and not good with people, that's crap, sorry to say that, but it's because it's a skill. It's a skill that can be taught, that can be added on to personality. You're not born to drive cars, you're not born to ride a bike. It's a skill you're learning, but it takes time. Same thing with this. So if you're starting being aware of how you do with your body language, your tonality when you talk, the way you breathe, then suddenly you can see the reflection on the other person. So we're meeting, I see a person I want to talk with for the first time. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have the right attitude. So you need to decide in your mind that I will have a positive attitude. If you go there, you look like this, you'll be standing over this like, oh, I'm angry, look angry. You need to be aware that that is not a positive mindset. You need to be, I'm positive, I'm outgoing, and you need to be straight, you need to smile. Then, when you're in that state of mind, like I'm open, I'm not closed, I'm open with my body, start maintaining eye contact. So when you get the eye contact with the person, you'll straightly go over there, you get eye contact. Maintain eye contact when you talk with people for approximately 60 to 70% of the time. It's normal for people in love, they got eye contact for more than 75% of the time because they can't stop looking at each other. So if you start having that much eye contact, maybe the person you're looking at will be like, oh, that's a little bit too much. So when you have eye contact with another person, it's quite important the way you look at another person, and it can be quite frightening also to talk with another one. So what you will do is that if you look at me, I'm just going to point at myself here. If you can look like in an area across here, forehead and down to your nose. Normally I say you have to look right there. If you look right there in a person, it seems weird when you do it the first times, but when you look right there, it seems like you look them straight in the eyes. And I promise you, it works every time. So look there, just right there. And it's so, I think the women in this who listens here understand what I'm saying, because you got the dirty look is from here and then all the way down here. And often you get men, we're like looking, if men starting looking all the way down here, it's not just because they're friendly, because they have a little bit on their mind as well. And then you start smiling. Of course, the thing about smiling is we can make the real smile is you activate some muscles in the eye here, and it cannot be faked. So if I smile like this, your face will try to balance, so make it equal each side. And that's often why when we smile a little bit to the left. And that's so, if you see people smile a little bit to the left, that's often a fake smile. And that's because your brain, when you do a fake smile, will always try to make it equally on the both sides. But when you smile generally, you'll have a little fold here, and your face will automatically be in sync on both sides. But what's happened also when we smile, I don't know if you're aware of that, but when you smile, it's back to the basics, like with animals, like the gorilla. If the gorilla is aggressive, how do we look when we're aggressive? We take our jaw out, like, oh, and we show, because the animal, the gorilla, has 2 teeth underneath here, and they show them to see, if you get closer to me, I will come over there and I will bite you. But when the gorilla is not angry, it smiles with its upper teeth to show I'm friendly, I'm not going to fight you or do anything. And exactly the same thing happens when you see another person and you smile like this, and then the other person sees you and they smile back to show you I am also friendly and I'm not trying to do anything. So be aware of that. That is actually why we smile. And it means you got like these things in your brain that when you see something you smile, you will smile back if you are not, if you're friendly. If you're unfriendly, you'll often see people, if you're angry, like, don't smile at me, and then look angry because they will show you with their body that they're ready to fight you. So smile, so you show them that you are actually not dangerous and you're friendly. And of course, it can be difficult to train your smile, but don't talk like this, like, hello, nice to meet you. Use the right smile so you show them that you are actually honest and you want to meet them. Then it comes to, and then often when you get eye contact and you smile, you want to say hello to them. It's actually a fact, and when you give the hand like this isn't like the normal equally handshake. But if you do like this, a handshake can create more human connection than 3 hours of small talk. I think we all met people who gave you a handshake and it was like this, and we're like, oh, that's not good, man. And then we got people we meet and they're like, we do like this, and we're like, oh, that's too much. And then we got people like, oh, damn it, my hand, I can't feel my hand. And all of them tells us a little bit about the people. But we all felt the right handshake. It's like when you give a handshake like this, you have to give the other one in here. So straight up here. And then you have to make this part here, your hand, is called pulpa. And pulpa here needs to touch the other pulpa. And when you touch that, it creates human connection. So when you touch that, and then you squeeze the palm meet each other, and then you squeeze, and you squeeze as hard as the other person. And then you let go when you feel the other person lets go. And of course now, I'm sure you're thinking, what if the other person waiting for me to let go of my hand? And then I think you are so intelligent that if you feel that they are waiting for you, then slightly open up your hand, and then the other person will let go as well. So be aware that to create better connection, you can actually do like this, and then when they do put your hand, you can take the other hand as well and say, oh, so nice to meet you. So you actually show them that you are more eager to meet them and you are grateful and thankful for meeting them. So when we have done all that, then we're going to create what we call a baseline, or in the coaching world, we call it report. I think you all have heard it before, but I will just call it a baseline. So when I'm teaching this at business school in Denmark, I'm doing lectures and workshops all around the world, and it's the same thing. So it's the same wherever you go. Of course, there can be small cultural things, but basically what I'm teaching you now, you can go out there and you can use it straight away. Straight away, you can use it from the moment. If you want to create a human connection to another person, if you're single, if you want to meet someone, you can be aware, you can use this straight away. And I'm not lying. So when we're creating this report or the baseline, it's quite simple. It's to learn how to become the other person. And there are different kind of things. I'm going to talk about 3 things. There is one called a natural report. A natural baseline is when you have the common interest. So, for example, if you are at a car park or a car show or in a millionaire's club, you all got the same interest. And that is natural report. You don't have to invent anything. This is natural, you got the same interest. So often here, you will get other people, you will be quite easy to talk with other people because you got the same interest. Then you can create what we call, again, report by chance, but create the baseline for chance. And that is finding out what you got common. Okay. It could be like something report by chance. Is we all been on a holiday and we suddenly stumble into another person and they're like, I'm from Denmark, by the way. So like, I meet someone from Denmark as well. And then instantly we create report by chance because it's a chance that it's like random, they are Danish as me. So we just create a connection because you're Danish, I'm Danish. It doesn't matter if you're voting for someone else, if you're a millionaire, if you're not, if you've got a car, a Rolex watch, anything. Doesn't matter. What matters is they're Danish and I understand them. So we connect on that level. Have we met in Denmark, I would never notice them because it didn't matter. But this is report by chance that something suddenly, we have something in common. We're both from Denmark. Or you're talking with a person in Denmark and suddenly you realize something is in common. That is by chance. The third one is a little bit more, I wouldn't say manipulative, to manipulate other people. I'll call it organic manipulation because we're doing it anyway. And that's called a baseline by design, which is, how can I say, established by deliberately altering your behavior just for a short time. Let's say that I meet a guy at the Millionaires Club to an event, a meeting, and I have absolutely no idea about anything. But maybe I know something about something, but this guy talks about the football match, and I know absolutely nothing about football. But then I just read in the paper that Denmark was playing Ireland last night. And then I was like, oh, did you see the match about football match yesterday? Did you see the match yesterday, Denmark-Ireland? And suddenly he'll say, oh, yes, I saw that match. And then you can maybe start talking, asking, well, what do you think of the match? And so you create actually something, you have nothing in common, but you create some common ground. Just for a short time, just in order to become like the other person. So after we've done that, after you talk about this, create this likability with the other person, that you created some baseline, you starting to adapt and synchronizing. And that's why the next part is. So when you establish the same behavior to become like the person you want to talk with, we start synchronizing. And again, you all heard about what mirroring is. Mirroring is when we do exactly like the other person. So if I was here, so I'm standing here, I have a mirror here, then the mirror will do exactly what I do. So if I take my right hand forward, the other person takes the right hand forward. It's quite simple. So it's just mirroring them. And again, you see that in the cafe, people mirror each other to tell them that they like each other. So actually, when you mirror another person, then you will actually, like unconscious level, on an unconscious level, you will actually say to the other person, I want to be like you. And the other person will suddenly think, oh, this person seems really nice. They can't tell you why, but they just feel suddenly, oh, this person is really interesting to talk with. I like that person. Just because we create this baseline. So when we start doing all of these small things we've done before, and then now we're starting doing the mirroring. Be aware, when you do mirroring here, that you are actually not doing everything exactly. Give them some time, maybe within the first, when you said hello, make them look at you in the eyes, and make them like check you out for a little bit, for a short time. Then start synchronizing. So there's two ways synchronizing. The one is mirroring. So if they take a sip of their drink, you take a sip of your drink. If they move, if they talk with their arms, you talk with your arms. If they move their upper body, if you sit down and they use them a little bit to the side, you do exactly the same. But don't do it like at the same time. Just do it like more casually. So you move in the same casual way, and don't do it for a long time, because then it's just going to be weird, because then they will realize there's something going on here. There's something, why is this person doing the same? This is weird. And also a lot of business people, like the HR department, they're also aware of this, but doing the interviews or the meeting, they will forget it. So if you are aware how long time you're going to do this mirroring or synchronizing, this matching, which is the other thing, then you can actually control often the outcome. So then we got mirroring on one side, and we got matching on the other side. So matching is actually the same things, but opposite. So if I take a sip of my drink with my right hand, and we sit across each other, I will take a sip of my drink with my left hand. So it's quite similar. We just do exactly what's opposite of each other. So we just cross matches. You know what I mean? So it's like not doing exactly the same. So we can either do cross match, or we can do not mirroring, but again, cross matching. It can also be like, if you take a sip with your right hand, the person over there takes a sip with his right hand. It's not mirroring, because it's not, then you will use your left hand. You are matching. So again, if you move to one side, you do the same. So it's not really the same as mirroring. But when you do this kind of thing, if you do this, you're implementing things in the other person's mind, like, oh, I like this person. And of course, when you have established this kind of report, in the beginning, you are the adapter. You are the one who adapting to the other person. But as the conversation goes along, you will see that suddenly it changes, that you do something and they start following you. And when they start following you, it's there that you can make the biggest changes. You can suddenly see, oh, this now something's going on. And you got them, now you can try to talk with them a little bit. And when you talk with people, it's important that you get them to say yes. It can be about the weather, like, oh, the weather has been really nice, don't you think? It's like, yes. And then you can talk about something else. Make them say yes, maybe 2 or 3 times, and then come up with your suggestion. Because when they have said yes that many times, they've programmed their brain to say the next thing they say is often a yes. So be aware. So you start having the first conversation, eye contact, make the smile, do the right handshake so they get the first impression of you, like, oh, you're a serious person. Then start do the matching, start synchronizing with them. So the way they talk, the way they breathe. And again, if I take this, remember, when you talk, if you meet a person who talks really loud, you should actually talk in the same way as them. You just move on, say, yes, I get that. If you meet a person who talks like really, like silent, like calm, yes, it was so nice at the party, you'll just go down there and say, yes, it was so nice in the party. Because then we all met those kind of persons, and when they talk, we just calm, we just talk like this, just, oh, so nice seeing you. Oh, it's interesting. And then suddenly they start talking like, yes, it's very interesting, blah, 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 blah. They just all around, and their voice is like going up and down, and you're like, oh, okay, take it easy, man. And then when we meet people, like, oh, they listen to us, they're present, they got eye contact, we just feel, oh, that's a nice person. He understands me, even though he actually just are doing what I'm telling you to do now. And they seem more calm, and that's the person we want to know. We want to get to know these persons. And it's shown also, like, I'm going to do this, sorry. So it's also, that study shows that 55% of us in our culture are motivated primarily by what we see. 15% of what they hear, and 30% by, like, physical sensation, like kinesthetic, if we touch, like, oh, it's not fabric. This means that, of course, we need to be aware of how we are doing when we are talking. So I want to do a little bit of a test with you guys as well. This is a test, something about being aware of the moment, because something our brain tells us is it's only aware of a very few things. And when the brain is aware of very few things, they sort out other things, because we can't do anything. We can only have 3 things going on in our mind at one time. 3 things, not 100% of it, 33% of each thing we can have going on the same time. And the reason we can walk and close our eyes at the same time is because it doesn't cross-match the waves in our brain. But I'll come with this small example on how important it is to be aware of these things I'm telling you now, because otherwise it will sort it out. So I will teach you, I will hold this up, this text here, for maybe 10-15 seconds. Maybe you need a little bit more time. And when I've done that, I would like you to tell me how many F's there are in this text. Now you don't have to tell me, but write it down. I will say it after we're done. So you get like 5-10 seconds. Now I'll do like this. I'm just going to do if all can see me. So I will do like this. So, and I will just count here. You have 5 seconds left. Yep. I'm sure there will be some of you who thought there was, when I did this for the first time, I'll do it like this. When I did this for the first time, I counted 4. 4F. There will be some of you who maybe saw 5, but there will be only a few of you guys who had all 6 of them. And yes, there is 6. I will do like this so you can see. There are 6. The reason I'm telling you this about these 6 here is to be aware that everything your brain is focused on, when we meet other people, when we do other things, it's sorted out, do we like it or do we not? So we can only use small things that come to our mind. And when you do this, these small things, they are telling the other person that you talk with, this is a nice person. It's unconscious, they don't know why, but they pick up on it. So that's why this is extremely important to know, that one of the most important jobs for our brain is actually to outsource unnecessary information. So how can we also, when we listen to other people talk, how can we seem present? Yes, how can we do that? That, you know, when women listen, they tilt their head 15 degrees, and then they show, you know, this, and then they nod 3 times, like 1, 2, 3. And they do that like 3 or 4 times again, like 1, 2, 3. And each nod, the space between the nod is like 1 second is normal. That's like they press like 1, 2. But if they do faster, like, yes, that means they are a bit stressed. They show the state of mind. We all know if we are a bit stressed, we are like this. Oh, can you do that? Yeah, I'll do that. So that's our state. We show that, yes, we're like a little bit stressed. But if we're present, you're like, oh, yes, I get that. Yeah. So if you are having a conversation, especially with a woman, if you're a guy, you will seem taller, more beautiful, more intelligent, and more sexy. But of course, if a woman talks with a woman, do this, she will seem more present. So often, because when women, we listen, we just listen like this. Yeah, got it. And when we listen like that, people often tend to ask us, do you understand what I mean? You got it? And then like, yeah, like, are you sure? Like, yes, I'm sure. But if we start tending like this, yes, I listen, then you seem more present in the conversation. And people will not ask, did you get it? Because you listened. And then maybe you're thinking, oh, what's the match tonight? What am I going to eat? Spaghetti bolognese. What's up tonight? But you seem present. And when you meet this person, when you listen, when they talk, you're like, yes. And then you give them a compliment. Because when we give compliments, we seem more beautiful, more intelligent, more fitted, and much like eager to get to know the person. Again, we like people who like us. So, or like people who want to be like us. So, of course, compliments are fantastic. So, when you give a compliment, please be aware that you give a compliment of something they are doing or they have done. It can be like, oh, yes, I think what you did over there was really nice. Because I'm saying this because I can sometimes have difficulty to do that. And so I'm saying it's really nice. So you actually give them a reason why you're saying what you're saying. And third, ask a question saying, how did you learn that? How did you learn all that kind of things? And then you start listening like, how did you learn? And then actually people start like, oh, it's like, we can all say to people like, oh, I like that suit. Where did you buy it? But it's not a real compliment, isn't it? Because next time it's just, oh, I like the shoes, where did you buy it? But if we say, so, that was really nice, the thing you did over there. I mean, I think that's amazing. I mean, I'm afraid to do that. I mean, how how did you manage to do that? We already get like the conversation like, oh, it's what's going on? It seems genuine. And then when you ask this or do this, touch gently on the elbow of the person you're talking with. I know it sounds weird, but because it's touching, but actually when you touch something, or touch someone, not something, sorry, if you touch someone, it creates human connection. We all know that when people like meet us or like clap us on the shoulder, on the arm, we don't like, it's like, okay. But we also know that if people touch us and we don't like them, it's like, oh, why do you touch me? And especially if we are mad at each other, we often say like, hey, come on, don't touch me. What do you want? And so what I'm talking about here is like light touching on the elbow, like maybe between from your shoulder and then middle on your arm here. Because they made an experiment in there from the Philadelphia University, I think it was that, like many years ago. They put 1 cent in the phone box, telephone box, and then they left it, and then the guy came in, and then they asked him afterwards, so, I left a penny or a cent in there, did you see it? And the person was like, no, I did not. And they asked 10 person or 50 person about this, and they was like, only 25% of the people they asked said, yes, I took the penny there. Then they changed it, so they put the same penny in there, left, and then when a person came out there, they was like, they touched them gently here, and they'll go like, oh, sorry, mate, I think I forgot a penny in the box in there, did you see it? And they were all, and then 67% of the people asked said, yes, I took it. So what happens when we create, so when you just start like, oh, that's interesting, oh, so just talk to them gently. You don't have to do like this, just, you can like, oh, is that true? So when you touch them, they allow you to touch them. It seems like, I hope you understand what I mean. Because when we let other people touch us, it's because we let them touch us, which means that we are not afraid of them and we let them into our lives. Which means when you touch a person on the elbow, if they don't notice, they notice unconsciously. But that means that, oh, I'm not afraid of him. He's a good guy. I'll let him in, which again improves the way they look at you. So now you have met them, created eye contact, smiled. You have given the right handshake. You start synchronizing, create this baseline. You are adapting the way you talk, the body language. You start synchronizing. You listen. You give a compliment, and you have created a connection, physically connection. What's the next thing? Yes, the next thing is remember their name and say their name. So when you meet them, for most people, our name is one of the most important thing for us. So when you meet them and say, hello, my name is Jasper, the person should say to me, hello, Jasper, so nice to meet you. And after some time, 2-3 minutes, it's like, oh, so Jasper, by the way, I was so impressed of how you did that over there. Again, you say the name because they recognize. We all met people at parties coming over there. You have said hello to them, and they come back 10 minutes later. Oh, what? Sorry, I forgot your name. And it's okay for the first time, but then the second time, oh, come on, what's your name? You don't feel like that important. And we people, we love to feel important, and we love talking about ourselves, not by ourselves, but letting others ask us so we can talk about ourselves. So that's why when our name is so important and we want to feel important, that you remember their name, like, oh, I must be important. He remembered my name. So after 2 minutes, then say the name again. But don't make it weird. Just say it 1 or 2 times. Because when you say it 1 or 2 times, it starts being like, amazing, Jasper. I just love that so much, Jasper. It was amazing. And like, it kind of loses its meaning. So just say it 1 or 2 times. A way you can remember names, I have really difficult to remember names, is that you create it to something, either a color, a sound, the venue, or what I do normally, I try to remember it by adding to a person I know. So I try to hook it up. Okay, I already know another person. So when I see them, then I say to myself 10 times in my mind, and then try to remember all the time. A trick can be that you get one of your friends to go over there and say hello, and then this is my friend, and then they say, oh, this is Jasper, like, hello, and they're like, oh, it was Jasper. So important that you do this, so repeat it inside. And also when you say goodbye, say like, goodbye Jasper, really nice meeting you, hope to see you soon. Then again, like, oh my God, I mean, we feel like, that's a nice guy, he remembered my name. So again, people like themselves, ergo, people like someone who are like them. And so again, people on dates like people who are like us. So of course, when we're on a date, we want to find someone who are like us. So of course, when you go to sell a house or other kind of real estate property, you will always try to find the ones who match. If the realtor is something who looks like you or behave like you will often feel like, oh, there was something about that guy that I liked. What was it? And then you can suddenly realize, oh, I do that myself. So, like a lot of people say, like, birds of feather flock together, and that goes for the same as us. So, quite simple, people are more comfortable when they are surrounded by people like themselves. So I'll talk a little bit about this synchronizing people, and when you synchronize, when should you start synchronizing with people? I'm just going to scroll a little bit here. When you start synchronizing, you should just do that straight ahead. As I told you before, all the things I told you here, these are things basically you can use straight away from now on when you go out the door. Once you go to the supermarket, never approach someone from the back, because our reptile brain will be, and our fears will be like, oh, I need to prepare myself. So never approach someone coming toward from the side, either from the side or just in front, and have your heart to meet them. And never stand like just in front of the same person. So I'm here, I'm standing like exactly the same. No, stand a little bit to you. So you got like 45 degrees, and then start talking. And you can also see on the feet when people talking. Often, if it's a conversation where you can join in, people will stand like this with their feet. And if they're having a conversation where it's like an open conversation, if they are mad or fighting, they will be like this, standing against each other. So start doing these small things. So when you go to the supermarket, say hello to the cashier, like, hello darling, how are your day? We do that in England, for example, or in the US, it's like, hello, how are you? And start doing those small things. Talk to the cashier, say, how's your day today? And they will feel like important, they will be seen. If you see one in the supermarket you'd like to talk to, you can just go over there and say, oh, I'm so sorry, do you know where I can find the sugar or something else? Just go over there asking, because when we meet a person we don't know, we are afraid, so afraid to be rejected, because we feel like it's our personality. So another thing I will tell you here, I often tell this to my students, especially the boys, but also the one I teach on my dating workshops. It's tell yourself that you are a strawberry. It sounds really weird, like on strawberry. What the fuck? No, tell yourself like you're a strawberry. So you go over there and say, hello, would you like a strawberry? Nothing else, just a simple strawberry. And then if they say no, they're like, okay, they just say no to strawberry. They didn't say no to Jasper. They don't know me. So it's like, there are billions of people out there. So don't be afraid, just go over there, and you can train this every single day. Supermarket, the car shop, everywhere, and just notice how other people are doing this themselves. And the thing is, you can also learn this like by touching. If you're touching someone, you can do it like, just do it like slightly, because we're doing it no matter what, we just don't think about it, but we do this every single day. Like when you're talking with a friend and just slap you on the shoulder, that is the same thing. You let them slap you on the shoulder. So be aware of this, all the things I've told you now. We can figure it out. I can maybe also make a little list so you can know how to synchronize with other people, the main 10 things. And when you do this, you create human connection in a way you have never done before. Because now you know what it does to the other person. And everything you do is actually unseen. on set, you don't say anything. This is just the way you act. Well, because we use our body, we use our tonality, our voice, we can adapt to others. And when we adapt to others, they adapt to us. And suddenly, when they start adapt to us, we can change the outcome of the conversation because suddenly they like you. And of course, we like people who like us, and we want to lend money to people who like we. People tend to, we can lend them money because we trust them, they like us. We can do things with them. So it's different. So now you know exactly how to create human connection, how to do things in a different way. So I will end this webinar with a few small things here. A lot of my friends are in the military, and they are like elite of the elite of the Danish military. And they taught me some things which is really interesting, that our super soldiers are not super soldiers. The reason why we believe they are, and they can do all the things they are in combat or jump out of a plane, is because we all got our small, we can say comfort zone, but I hate the word comfort zone. And like stepping out of our comfort zone, because when we are out of our comfort zone, which zone are we in? No. Like elite soldiers, like special forces soldiers, which my friends are, they say, you got 3 areas. You got the green, the yellow, and the red. The green one is like, this is where we feel nice. This is where we can walk naked to our bathroom. This is where we can walk naked around our living room. There's nothing, absolutely nothing to think about. We don't feel anything when we do it. That's fine because we feel secure. The yellow area, the yellow zone, is where you can have fear in different kind. It's got a little bit of fear sometimes, a little more. It's where we are not really feeling secure, maybe a little bit insecure, a little bit afraid. And it's also sometimes when we are going out there, when we make tasks, it could be like difficult for us to overcome them and fulfill them and come through them. We don't feel at home. It's like being a football player and you play in another stadium. So, and then you got the red area. The red area is a place we never come because it's too dangerous. It's like if you never jumped out of a helicopter in the water, it's like, no, I'm not going to do that, because it's where we create anxiety. It's where we can't even imagine where we are. So what do these special soldiers do? These special soldiers, they are actually making their green area bigger. The yellow area will still be as big. There will always come new thing. The red area will always be there, but they just all the time making their green area a little bit bigger. So for example, if they have to jump in a parachute, yes, of course they are afraid, but when they've done it, they're not afraid anymore. It doesn't mean that it's not dangerous to do. They just tried it, and they tried it as many times until they feel secure about it, so it's become their green zone. And for the same thing, it can be frightening to go over there, meet other people. Even myself, I can feel it's frightening to do sometimes. But suddenly when you just do it all the time, you just break through, then your yellow zone becomes green zone, because you've done it so many times. And that's why it's not suddenly dangerous anymore. So I will end this webinar saying that when you start going over to people, be aware of why you go over there, because knowing what you want is the key. Because if you don't know what you want, there's no message to send, there's no basing to create a connection with other people. And then suddenly all the things I've told you will disappear because there's no reason for them for you to talk with them. So basically, be aware of these small things. I hope that you understood everything I said, and I hope, of course, that you can use the knowledge I have. I teach this again around the world. I've taught it here in Spain. I'm going to go to Denmark, Norway, business schools, because this is so important, because we are afraid how to do things. But suddenly, when we be aware of what we do, suddenly we can create the outcome that we want. So I would like to say thank you so many times for doing this webinar, invited to do this webinar. And if you got any questions, please let me know now. And I will go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was great opportunity to learn from you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jasper.
I actually have a question, Jasper. I have two questions. First of all, I'm very curious. How come that you started to learn about this area? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The reason even though I got the Peter Pan syndrome, so I look like 12 years old, but actually I'm 30.
No, you don't.
And,
30.
I'm considering wearing my glasses today. No, the reason I've been always been fascinated by people. Greg, and I've been in the business. I've been manager and chief for so many years. Been like 14 years of management experience, and I suddenly realized that I was good with people. And I've been in the fashion industry as well. And suddenly I realized I was not the best salesman. The reason I was good was because I could adapt to the people I was with. I could create a baseline for them. So, and that's why I became their friend. And you would rather buy from a friend and taking advice from a friend than you would do from a salesperson. So suddenly I realized, well, there's something about going this on, and all my interest like increased with that. And so what is how to create with people, how to make difference in people's lives. Yeah, because there are so many of us which are afraid to go over there and talk with someone, but actually they can be the ones who can help you develop to earn your first million.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, I can come with an example with you, Carlos.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I've seen all this on the on Facebook and stuff, and I was like, oh, like the Millionaires Club, it sounds so big, and I'm just me. But you know, I just like, well, if I don't call, what happens if I don't call? Nothing happens.
Exactly.
But what happens if I do call? So to do nothing, you have to do nothing. But to create, you have to do just something, just a little bit. Then you create. So I just took my phone, just call and say, hello, this is this. I do teaching this and this. Could just be interesting. And I do exactly the same when I talk to you. When you talk very slowly, I talk very slowly. And then I use some of the same words that you talk with. So now you know the
Yeah, but I mean, you just break the ice, and it's such a great honor to have you here. And I'm really, really inspired and impressed. Those doesn't show up, so it's quite, you know, we learn a lot from you. I mean, such a great energy, your body language, all this content you just mentioned about the contacts, the people to went through all, because not just the break this ice is also to the next level, to business to the next level. Huh? There's a lot of content. I mean, I'm really impressed.
Yeah.
Thank you so
and
much.
It's not so easy to do webinars. I'm even more impressed because of that. No, I have another question. Can you give us, I mean, looking at really successful entrepreneurs, millionaires, people that are very successful, can you mention 3 points or 3 things they do in what you are teaching us today?
people.
You understand my question?
I think so.
Yeah.
People who are often successful, they are very aware of their presence. They are aware of what I wasn't in that subject, but aware of their clothes, how they dress, what they're symbolizing. They are aware. Some people are not, of course, some millionaires are not, but they got that look in their eye. That's the second thing. They are when you talk with them, they are like very calm often. And they always got time to listen, and they got this presence in their eyes. So when you talk to them, they take the time, they listen. So you feel like they listen. And they are also aware of their surroundings. So often when I see people in their body language, they are aware of these things I got here, but they are aware of the tonality, they are calm, they are present, and mostly they are aware of their surroundings, because they only seem to have control over themselves, so they know themselves that well. And I wasn't about to talk about that as well, but that can be another meeting. When you get to know yourself, and then you can suddenly start facing some of your fears of going over there to another person and talk to another person. So, but basically, they are calm, they are present, and they are aware of their surroundings.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's true. It's true. Great.
Any more questions?
That's all about network.
That's how you create network. Yeah.
Exactly.
More questions? If you have a question, you need to unmute yourself. Otherwise, we don't hear you. Or shall I unmute everyone? I don't know.
I have a wonderful, I mean, I think it's Marco.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I would actually like to see this webinar again. Will we be able to have a recap?
Yes, because we have recording. I have recorded the whole webinar.
Oh, thank you so much.
I will send it to all of you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Great, wonderful.
Well, if you should have any questions, you're of course welcome to contact me. I'm also on Facebook, like Jasper Frost. On Facebook, you can contact me directly there. Add me as a friend if you want to. Currently working on a website as well. But if you got any questions, please let me know. I would love to answer them. Help you on the way, definitely.
Wonderful. Yes, sure.
Good. Thank you. More questions? If you have, we have several people.
Let me be aware that only you will remember only 25% of what I just said.
Yes, that's how it works.
So certainly comes questions again, and often. So of course there was like, oh, didn't he say something like that? Wasn't there a bit? So of course, yes. So if there's anything, please let me know. Of course, I would love to help you out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yes. Good. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes. When you want to present, hey, there is a traditional way to present yourself. My name to somebody else, somebody new. My name is. I do such, and it's like flat out presentation pitch to introduce yourself. But you know that the other person is interested in themselves, what they do. So how do you present yourself in a way that, hey, they will want what you have, so they are willing to hear from you, so they can hear from them as well?
Yes. The thing is, we can't like demand that other people just want to talk with us. We want to talk with them, so they want to talk with us. I can come with an example. This is persuasion. I also teach persuasion, how we persuade other people to do so. But it's like organic manipulation. So we do this if we don't think about it. For example, they did this scientific research where they had two persons in a room, and they have to do some research, do some tests. But one of the person was actually the guinea pig, and the other person was one of the one who held this research. So after some time, they've been inside this room, and then the other one gets up and says, "Oh, I'm just going to go outside to get something to drink. Is that okay?" And then the person will leave and come back with 2 Coca-Colas. And he said, "Put one down here and say, that's for you." And the other person say, "Oh, I didn't ask for Coca-Cola." And he's like, No, I know, but I was out there anyway, so I just thought you want something to drink, so here you go. And we're like, "Oh, thank you so much." And then afterwards, they went outside when they were done with the test, and they started talking a little bit. And I was like, "Oh, so what do you do?" And they did some small talk. And then he did what I told you to do. And then somebody say, "Oh, yes, but I'm actually going to sell some tickets for my child's soccer, whatever." And he's like, "So," and the other person's like, "Oh," and it's like, "Do you want to buy some?" And he's like, and then it was like, "Oh, I know it sounds weird, but would you like to buy some?" And then the other persons were like, "Yeah, sure. How much is it?" They're like 25, 50 krona or something. And he's like, "Oh yeah, let me buy 3. So actually, it had cost him 10 krona for Coca-Cola, and he sold 3 tickets worth maybe 150 krona, because it's a give and take. When you do something, we feel we owe something. So when you suddenly being nice, and then people will turn it back on you because you're interesting to talk with. So the people will adapt to you. So of course you can sell your speech doing an elevator speech, like, "Hello, my name is Jasper.